The film begins with a boy named Hiccup who tells us about the island he lives on. He says the island is called Berk and that all the islanders are Viking warriors. But life on this island isn't easy because the islanders have a big problem. Every now and then, dragons attack the island, steal the sheep they raise, and eat them. Not only that, but they set fire to the island and burn houses. Hiccup says that all the islanders are well trained to fight dragons, but in the end, the dragons always defeat them, take the sheep, and leave. We see Hiccup hiding inside a hut, trying to get out. During a dragon attack on the island, he finds a dragon in front of him, breathing fire from its mouth. The sky is full of dragons of different shapes and sizes. Hiccup runs through this chaos, trying to save himself. He tells us that all the islanders have set traps and built defenses against the dragons, but they still fail, and the dragons attack them again, stronger than before. At that moment, Hiccup is about to be hit by a fireball, but his father, Stoik, comes and saves him. Hiccup tells us that Stoik is the leader of the island and the only one who knows how to fight dragons because Stoik is very strong and brave. He says there's a story that Stoik cut off a dragon's head when Hiccup was still young. While the battle continues, Hiccup runs to the blacksmith's workshop run by a blacksmith named Gobber. Hiccup decides to use his invention, which is a cannon that shoots a special net designed to bring down dragons. But Gobber refuses and orders him to continue his work in the workshop. After that, Hiccup watches a group of teenagers his age fighting dragons. Their leader is a girl named Astrid, who is very brave, and Hiccup likes her. But when she sees him looking at her, she yells at him and tells him to turn his face away, so Hiccup gets annoyed and goes back to work. At that moment, he promises himself that one day he will kill a dragon, and everyone will look at him as a brave Viking warrior like the rest of the islanders. A little later, Hiccup hears people saying that the Night Fury has arrived, so he is surprised and asks Gobber about this Night Fury. Gobber tells him that it's the most dangerous type of dragon, and so far, no one has been able to see it at all because this dragon can disappear due to its incredible speed. Hiccup learns from Gobber that everyone who saw the Night Fury died, and none of them survived. So Hiccup tells him that he might be able to hunt it with the weapon he invented. Gobber mocks him and makes fun of him, telling him that he'll never be able to do that. But Hiccup takes advantage of a chaos during the battle and sneaks away with his cannon. He goes up the mountain and waits for the Night Fury to appear. Suddenly, a light appears in the sky, and then he hears a dragon's sound. He fires a shot from his cannon randomly towards the source of a sound, and then he hears a cry of pain. Here, Hiccup feels great joy because he has hunted the Night Fury. But a terrifying dragon appears to him, chases him, and breathes fire at him. Hiccup escapes from it and runs through the island. At the last moment, Stoik appears and saves his son from the dragon. Stoik keeps hitting the dragon until he defeats it and it flees from him. Because of this battle, the farm is destroyed and the dragons steal the sheep in it. So Hiccup apologizes to his father for what happened and tries to tell him that he hunted the Night Fury, but Stoik doesn't believe him and is very angry. He tells him that every time he participates in any battle, he causes a disaster. He tells him that he lost a large number of sheep, which will affect the entire island's food supply. So Hiccup tells him that he wants to kill a dragon because he sees himself as a fighter. Stoik tells him that he can be anything else other than a fighter. Here, Hiccup feels sad, leaves his father, and walks away. After that, Gobber goes with Hiccup to take him home. Hiccup complains to him, saying that his father doesn't want to give him a chance to be a fighter. Gobber comforts him and tells him that Stoik is afraid for him. But as soon as Gobber leaves, Hiccup sneaks away and goes to the forest because he wants to confirm if he actually hunted the Night Fury or not. The next day, Stoik holds a meeting with the warriors and tells them that the dragons keep attacking them because there's a dragon nest near them. If they can find and destroy that nest, the dragons won't attack them again. When the warriors agree, Stoik announces that they will go look for the dragon nest and destroy it. He orders Gobber to be responsible for training the teenagers to fight dragons. Gobber asks him to allow Hiccup to join the training. At that moment, Stoik thinks about this suggestion. Gobber continues his speech, telling him that he is confident that Hiccup can think differently, just like his deceased mother always did. At this time, Hiccup is walking through the forest, hoping to find the Night Fury. Suddenly, he finds a broken tree in front of him, and next to it is the Night Fury, lying on the ground, tied up with the ropes Hiccup threw at it. It turns out that the dragon is still alive but has serious injuries. At that moment, Hiccup is astonished and can't comprehend that he hunted the night fury. So he takes out a knife and prepares to finish it off. But then Hiccup looks into the dragon's eyes, and instead of seeing the gaze of a terrifying monster, he sees the gaze of a peaceful creature, its eyes full of fear and pain. Hiccup feels sorry for the dragon and decides not to kill it and to free it. At that moment, the dragon attacks Hiccup and roars terrifyingly at him, but it doesn't harm him. It then flies away. Hiccup notices that the dragon can't fly well because of its injury. When he returns home, he is surprised to find his father telling him that he will join the dragon fighting training. Hiccup tells him that he changed his mind and doesn't want to kill dragons anymore, but Stoic ignores him and gives him a weapon inherited from his ancestors, telling him that the time has come for him to become a Viking warrior. At that moment, Hiccup has no choice but to agree. The next day, Stoic moves with the warriors by ship at sea to try to reach the dragon's nest. At the same time, Gobber takes Hiccup and the rest of the teenagers to the arena to begin dragon fighting training. The training is a competition called the Fire Challenge. Gobber tells them that whoever wins the competition will be a dragon hunter, and the winner will be nominated to be the island's leader after Stoic. We meet the competition participants: Snotlout, Fishlegs, Toughnut, and his twin sister Roughnut, in addition to the leader Astrid, who is a candidate to win the competition. They are all ready for the competition until Hiccup enters, and they are surprised that he is coming to train with them. They clearly aren't happy about his presence. At that moment, Gobber announces that whoever performs best in the competition will receive the title of Dragon Hunter, which is a great honor for any of them. He gives him a chance to kill a dragon in front of the entire island. Then Gobber opens a gate, and a short, fat dragon comes out, but it has a very strong jaw. The trainees run to get their shields. Toughnut and Roughnut fight over the same shield until the dragon hits them with a fireball, and they lose and are out of the arena. The rest start banging their shields loudly to distract the dragon and confuse it, but Fishlegs keeps talking about the Book of Dragons, from which he knows this trick. While he is talking, the dragon throws a fireball at him, and then Fishlegs loses and is out of the arena. At this time, Snotlout takes advantage of the chaos and talks to Astrid, telling her that only they are left, considering Hiccup's presence is as good as nothing. Because Snotlout is busy talking, he gets hit by a fireball and is out of the arena. As for Hiccup, he tries to stay away from the dragon and hide from it, but the dragon finds him and pins him to the wall, about to kill him. Gobber intervenes at the last moment and saves Hiccup, controls the dragon, and returns it to its place. Then Gobber announces the end of training for the day. When everyone leaves, Hiccup leaves them and goes into the forest to the place where the Night Fury is. He finds a dragon in the valley surrounded by high rocks. Hiccup notices that the dragon can't fly because a part of its tail was cut off when he hunted it. So Hiccup takes out his notebook and starts drawing the dragon, but the pen falls from him, and the dragon senses his presence, stands in front of him, and prepares to attack him. Hiccup is afraid of it, leaves it, and walks away. At night, all the trainees gather for Gobber to give them a lesson in combat techniques and tell them things to do to pass the upcoming challenges. He advises them to read the legendary Book of Dragons because this book contains information about all types of dragons and how to fight them. It is clear that Fishlegs is very happy because he is the only one who has read the entire book, while no one else is interested in the book. That's why they all leave, but Hiccup catches Astrid before she leaves, and it's clear that he wants to talk to her and asks her if they can browse the book together. But Astrid refuses, so he tells her that dragons are not monsters as they think, and that their attack on the island is a reaction because the islanders invaded their lands. Astrid gets angry and doesn't like what Hiccup is saying. She tells him that he says that because he is the son of the island leader, and that he was born privileged and didn't suffer in his life at all. Therefore, all his ideas are useless because he doesn't know what danger threatens the place they live in. She tells him that she grew up in a poor family and struggled to become a warrior, and if fighting against dragons is what is required to protect the island's people, she will do it, and is even willing to sacrifice her life to protect the island's people. Hiccup is surprised when Astrid tells him that she herself will be the island's leader one day. So he tells her that this will be good for his father because he considers her like his daughter and wished he had a son like her. As soon as Astrid leaves, Hiccup opens the legendary Book of Dragons and finds information about all dragons of different types, except for the Night Fury's page, which is empty and has no drawings or information. But there is one warning: humans must avoid the Night Fury at all costs. So Hiccup is surprised at that moment because he got close to the Night Fury and the dragon didn't do anything to him. At the same time, Stoic and the warriors with him are close to reaching the dragon's nest. The place is completely covered in fog and they don't see anything. Suddenly, they hear the sounds of dragons around them, so the warriors prepare and look at the sky, searching for the dragons. But the dragons attack them from under the water and destroy the ships. At the same time, another group of dragons appears in the sky and attacks Stoic and his men. Because of this attack, most of Stoic's ships are destroyed, and at that moment, the warriors discover that the number of dragons is much greater than theirs. So Stoic orders an immediate retreat and can't comprehend that he and his army were ambushed by dragons. At this time, on the island, Hiccup and the trainees face a new dragon. Gobber tells them that this dragon is fast and smart, but it has one weakness: it can't see well. The problem is that the trainees don't take advantage of this point and think that it's easy, and they will defeat the dragon easily. Each of them boasts that he will win the challenge this time. Amidst all this, Hiccup asks Gobber how they knew the Night Fury was dangerous even though no one had seen it. Before Gobber answers, Astrid warns Hiccup not to move because the dragon is approaching him. Astrid uses her intelligence and manages to hit the dragon and return it to its place. Astrid refuses to celebrate her victory over the dragon and yells at the trainees, telling them that they are all acting as if they are in a game, and she informs them that the war between them and the dragons will happen soon, and it's best that they are well prepared. As soon as the challenge ends, Hiccup leaves and goes to the Night Fury, and this time he has a fish with him. He offers it to the dragon to eat, and the dragon makes a sound, indicating that it still doesn't trust Hiccup and considers him a threat. Hiccup is surprised that the dragon looks at the knife he has, so Hiccup puts it on the ground and backs away to prove to it that he won't harm it. The dragon approaches the fish and eats it. At that moment, Hiccup notices that the Night Fury has no strong teeth like the other dragons, so he decides to call it Toothless. Hiccup is surprised that Toothless takes half the fish out of his mouth and offers it to him to eat. Hiccup understands that this is the only way to make Toothless trust him. And even though he is disgusted, in the end he eats it. Here, Toothless smiles a small smile, and Hiccup is happy because this means that he has started to trust him. He tries to approach him and touch him, but Toothless backs away and is tense. Hiccup turns his face away, and here Toothless allows him to touch him. After that, Hiccup returns to the island and goes to the workshop. There, he uses his blacksmithing skills to make a leather fin for Toothless to attach it to his tail to make him fly again. The next day, he returns to the valley with a large amount of fish. When he offers the fish to Toothless, he notices that he is afraid of the eel, so he moves it away from him and lets him eat the rest of the fish. While Toothless is eating, Hiccup attaches the fin to his tail. When Toothless feels that, he flies into the sky, and at that moment, Hiccup tries to hold on to his tail so he doesn't fall. At that moment, Toothless flies randomly until they fall into the lake. After that, Hiccup returns to the arena and participates in the challenge. At that moment, they face a two-headed dragon. One head emits gas, and the other head emits sparks. In addition, the dragon creates a large cloud of fog. When the dragon stands in front of Hiccup, he is afraid of it and backs away. Hiccup controls it until he makes it return to its place. It turns out that Hiccup has hidden an eel among his clothes because he realized that dragons are afraid of this fish, just like what happened with Toothless. At that moment, Astrid and the rest of the trainees look at Hiccup in shock, and even Gobber can't believe that Hiccup was able to control the dragon. They all ask Hiccup how he was able to do that, but Hiccup doesn't answer them and leaves them and returns to the workshop. There, he makes a movable harness that allows him to control the fin while flying. The next day, Hiccup goes to Toothless and puts the harness on his body. Hiccup is happy when his idea succeeds, and he can control Toothless during flight. When they land on the ground, Hiccup notices that Toothless is sneezing and getting tense because of certain flowers in the area. Hiccup understands that dragons don't like these flowers, so he takes one of them and keeps it. When he returns to the arena, he uses the flower he has against the dragon that is attacking him. At that moment, the dragon keeps sneezing, and Hiccup can easily return it to its place. After that, Hiccup returns to Toothless and keeps playing with him. When Hiccup puts his hand under Toothless' neck, he is surprised that he falls asleep instantly. Hiccup uses this trick with the dragon he faces in the arena. Here, Astrid is annoyed and wants to know the secret that makes Hiccup control dragons like this. News of what Hiccup is doing with dragons spreads, and how he can tame dragons in a strange way without fighting them. At this time, Stoik returns to the island with what is left of his fleet after many of his ships were destroyed and a large number of his men were injured. Stoik is surprised when he hears that his son is now the best in dragon fighting. At this time, Hiccup tests the final version of the harness he made to control Toothless during flight. And at that moment, Toothless flies into the air at a high speed, and Hiccup is enjoying what is happening. He makes Toothless fly to a very high altitude in the sky. Suddenly, a storm occurs, and Hiccup slips off Toothless' back. At that moment, Toothless flies without anyone helping him to control his tail, but Hiccup manages to grab the harness again and gets on Toothless' back and can control him and take control of the situation before falling to the ground. When Hiccup returns home, he is surprised to find his father waiting for him and tells him that he is happy with what he heard about him, and also tells him that he is now a real Viking and gives him his mother's helmet and tells him that he must win the competition. The time for the final test comes, which is between Hiccup and Astrid because they got the highest scores in the previous challenges. Stoik stands among the audience and cheers for his son. Astrid tries with all her might to control the dragon, but she is surprised that Hiccup beat her and managed to bring down the dragon before she reached it. So Hiccup wins the championship, and Stoik is very happy and proud of his son. Hiccup goes to see Toothless and play with him, but he is surprised that Astrid was walking behind him and asks him who trained him and made him know the secret of fighting dragons. Hiccup gets nervous because he doesn't want her to see Toothless and asks her to leave the place immediately and he will tell her everything. But at that moment, Toothless appears and runs towards her, and Astrid is terrified and tries to grab her weapon quickly to attack him, but Hiccup intervenes at the last moment and stands between them and tells Astrid that Toothless is his friend, and at the same time tells Toothless that Astrid will not harm him, but Astrid is not comprehending what is happening and cannot even believe what she is seeing. So she leaves them and runs quickly into the forest to tell the islanders what is happening, but Hiccup and Toothless block her way, and Toothless grabs her and flies with her in the air until he throws her on the edge of a high mountain. Astrid is afraid of falling and asks Hiccup to save her. Hiccup tells her that she must first promise him that she will not tell anything to the islanders, and if she doesn't promise him, he will leave her in her place until she dies. Astrid promises him that she will not tell anyone. So Hiccup takes her and puts her on Toothless' back, and then Toothless flies with them in the sky, and Astrid is happy to see the world from above. They keep flying in the sky until night falls on them. But suddenly Toothless changes direction and flies with a group of dragons towards a certain place, and they keep flying until they enter a cave that contains a huge volcano. At that moment, Hiccup understands that this is the dragon's nest that Stoik is looking for. Hiccup and Astrid watch the dragons throwing sheep into this volcano, and then a huge and terrifying dragon comes out from inside the volcano. This dragon is hungry, and the sheep it eats are not enough for it, so it eats the dragons that couldn't bring its sheep from the island. We understand here that this dragon is the Red Death, and that it is the king of all dragons. At that moment, Hiccup and Astrid are terrified by the sight and understand that this dragon is the king of dragons, and that it controls them and forces them to attack the island to bring it food. The next day, the arena is filled with spectators, all cheering for Hiccup, the new dragon hunter. Stoik stands in front of everyone and says that the moment has come for Hiccup to prove that he is one of them. At that moment, Hiccup stands alone with Astrid, and Astrid encourages him and tells him that she will be by his side and support him. Then the doors open, and Hiccup enters the arena, holding a shield and a small knife. Then they release a terrifying and frightening dragon. As soon as the dragon comes out of its place, it tries to escape, but the chains prevent it, so it gets angry and goes to stand in front of Hiccup to kill him. Here, everyone is waiting to see what Hiccup will do, but Hiccup surprises them and throws the shield and knife on the ground, takes off his helmet, and tells the dragon that he has no intention of harming it. Strangely, the dragon understands and calms down and completely surrenders to Hiccup, but the islanders don't like what is happening and this makes Stoic angry, and he shouts loudly and orders the fight to end immediately, so the dragon gets nervous and returns to its angry state again and attacks Hiccup. Here, Toothless hears the sound of this dragon, so he feels that Hiccup is in danger and goes to save him, and Astrid runs to the arena and tries to distract the dragon in the hope that she will help Hiccup, but the dragon corners Hiccup and is about to kill him until Toothless appears and defends Hiccup and can control this dragon and make it return to its place. At this moment, the islanders are shocked when they see Toothless in front of them, so the warriors take their weapons and run to the arena to kill him. At that moment, the warriors attack him and tie him up. Hiccup tries to defend Toothless, but his father warns him not to move from his place. At that moment, Toothless looks at Hiccup and blames him for what is happening to him, and Hiccup is affected and tears appear in his eyes. After that, Stoic takes Hiccup home and yells at him, and Hiccup tries to make him understand that he was trying to show them the truth and make them understand that dragons are not monsters as they think, and that they are forced to attack them to protect their lives, but he doesn't believe him and reminds him that the dragons killed his mother. Hiccup tells him that the dragons are forced to do what they are doing because there is a much larger dragon in their nest that controls them and makes them do this. So Stoic understands from his son's words that he went to the dragon's nest and knows its location. So he leaves Hiccup and goes to order his men to get ready and tells them that they will take Toothless with them to show them the location of the dragon's nest. So the warriors obey Stoic's orders and put Toothless on one of the ships after they have tied him with strong chains so that he cannot escape. Hiccup sees them leaving and is not happy with what is happening, so he goes to Astrid and tells her that he should have killed Toothless as soon as he saw him because that would have saved him a lot of things. Astrid tells him that any other Viking would have done that, but he is not like them, and he is the first Viking to tame a dragon and fly with it. She keeps encouraging him and tells him that he is the one and only, and that he is the only one who can save Toothless, and he can save their families from the huge dragon they saw. But the problem is that there are no ships for them to ride and go after them, so Hiccup tells her that he has an idea. At night, he gathers all the young people in the arena, and Hiccup tells them that the future of the island is in their hands, and to save their families and help them, they must be brave and not be afraid of dragons. After that, Hiccup frees all the imprisoned dragons and helps each of the young people until they tame one of the dragons. After that, they ride on the dragons and fly with them to catch up with their families. At this time, Stoic and his army have reached the dragon's nest, and because Toothless is with them, the dragons do not attack them. At that moment, Stoic orders the warriors to prepare the war machines and fire missiles at the dragon's nest cave, creating a large opening inside it. At that moment, a huge number of dragons come out of the cave, but instead of fighting Stoic and his men, they run away from the place quickly. At that moment, the warriors cheer and think that they have won the battle, but Stoic does not celebrate and feels that something is wrong. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently, and the Red Death emerges from under the ground, and it is a giant and massive dragon. All of Stoic's men are terrified by the sight because this dragon is hundreds of times larger than any dragon they have ever seen before. At that moment, the Red Death makes a loud and terrifying sound and breathes fire from its mouth and burns all the ships. At this time, Toothless is scared and tries to free himself from the chains, but to no avail. As for Stoic, he and Gobber push a war machine and move it towards the Red Death. After that, Stoic fires a missile at the Red Death to attract its attention to them and save the rest of the warriors. Indeed, this missile hits the Red Death, and it looks at Stoic and Gobber and prepares to breathe fire at them, but suddenly Hiccup and his friends appear, riding dragons, and they keep circling in the sky around the Red Death, and Stoic and Gobber are amazed by what they're seeing. While Astrid and the team are working on distracting the Red Death, Hiccup goes to Toothless to free him. At this moment, Snotlout lands on the Red Death's back and then attacks it and hits it in the eye, which makes the dragon very angry, and it stomps its foot on the ground. At that moment, the ground shakes violently, and Hiccup and Toothless fall into the sea. Hiccup tries to free Toothless before he dies underwater, but suddenly Stoic pulls Hiccup and brings him to shore, and then he dives into the water and frees Toothless from the chains he is tied with. When Stoic comes out of the water, he apologizes to Hiccup and tells him that he was wrong. After that, they all join the battle to get rid of the Red Death. Astrid flies around it to distract it, and at the same time, She gives Tough Nut and Rough Nut a chance to save Snotlout and take him from the Red Death's back, but the Red Death grabs the tail of the dragon Astrid is riding. So Astrid jumps into the Red Death's mouth and breaks its teeth until she frees her dragon friend, and it flies away from it. The Red Death tries to burn Astrid with fire, but Hiccup and Toothless come and save her at the last moment. After that, Hiccup and Toothless engage in a battle with the Red Death, and Toothless keeps hitting the Red Death's wings with fireballs to weaken its strength, but the Red Death breathes fire at them and burns Toothless' tail. Despite that, Hiccup can make him fly faster, and the Red Death gets close to them and is about to hit them with a fireball. So Hiccup takes the opportunity and makes Toothless hit it with a fireball in its mouth. At that moment, the Red Death gets distracted and tries to get rid of the fireball, but to no avail, and it explodes inside its mouth, and a very strong explosion occurs. So Hiccup and Toothless fly at full speed to get away from the explosion, but they hit the Red Death's tail, and Hiccup falls into the fire. So Toothless goes into the fire to save Hiccup, and then the fire goes out, and smoke fills the place, and no one can see anything. Stoic walks through the wreckage, looking for Hiccup, but he doesn't find him. At that moment, he sees Toothless in front of him, lying on the ground, and there is no trace of his son. So Stoic understands that Hiccup is dead and keeps crying, and saying that he is not a good father and could not protect his son. Then Astrid approaches him and puts her hand on his shoulder, her eyes full of tears. Suddenly, Toothless raises his wing, and they find Hiccup underneath him. Stoic runs to his son and hugs him tightly, and when he discovers that Hiccup is still alive, he is happy, and all the warriors with him are happy. Here, Stoic approaches Toothless and thanks him for saving his son. After a period, Hiccup wakes up and finds himself in his home, lying on his bed, and is surprised when he sees Toothless, and is surprised that he is with him in the house. But the sad surprise is that when Hiccup tries to get up from the bed, he discovers that his leg has been amputated and a leg made of iron and wood has been replaced instead. He is sad for a bit, but he calms himself down because this is a source of pride for him and a symbol of his courage and sacrifice. Toothless helps him keep his balance until he walks normally. When Hiccup leaves the house, he finds that the island has completely changed and become much more beautiful than before. The dragons are living with the islanders, and they are all living happily. After that, Astrid comes and tells Hiccup that she loves him. So Hiccup is happy and goes on a trip with her and the rest of their friends with their dragon friends. And they all fly in the sky around the island happily, and the movie ends.